PCC Daga. You're welcome, ma'am. It's not there. Okay, we are going to okay. Okay, we shall remain standing for the national anthem. Okay. Thank you very much. This second day of our celebration, we shall be having presentation of papers. One from our former CGI, David Shikfu Paradan, OFR, and the other shall be delivered by retired DCG FC Adewi. Before we go into that, we shall be introducing some of our guests that are seated here this morning.
We have in our mix this morning past leaders of this agency who spent their prime time to make sure that we are where we are today. It is my pleasure to introduce to us and indeed acknowledge the presence of retired CGI RB Musa MFR. Please shall put our hands together for him, please. Also another August, I wouldn't say visitor, he will continue to be part of us. Personality that we have as retired Controller General of the service is Martins Abeshi. Please shall put our hands together for him. I also humbly want to call that we honor retired Controller General of Immigration Service, DS Paradan, OFR. Also, we have retired Deputy Controller Generals honoring our invites. We have DCG Tony Hoklobia, retired. I remember he was my commandant at the training school when I got this job. Please, another round of applause for him. We also have DCG N.A. Ibrahim, retired, FS High. Please let's honor him with a resounding applause. We also have Deputy Controller General, retired, A.K. Kuso, Heminai. And one of our very resourceful retired personnel who will surely be on the panel of our discussion this morning is retired DCG FC Adeoyi. We also have retired Deputy Controller General of Immigration, T. Oyedeji. Please shall we put our hands together for her. Moving to retired Assistant Controller General, retired. We have in our midst retired ACG AO Esakaibe. Please shall we put our hands together for her. You are most welcome, ma'am. We also have Assistant Controller General, retired Henhem Zitas. Shall we put our hands together for him? Also, we have retired ACG ES Kaura, presently Nairo Chairman. Please, let's welcome him with a resounding applause.
Thank you. Please join me in also welcoming Mr. Alok, Consular, India High Commission. Mr. Alok. We also have in our midst Mr. Zhang Bin, the MD Lekki Free Zone. He's here with us, please. Okay, we also want to recognize the presence of retired ACG NC Ndifi. Join me in welcoming retired ACG Ismail Ibi. And of course we have retired ACG Shuaibu MO. Retired DCG Mohammed Aminu Mohammed is also here in our midst. Please join me in welcoming. You're welcome, sir. As we move on, we shall be introducing others. Without much ado, I would like to... Sorry? Okay, yeah. Get me. Okay, we have here with us this morning Colonel M.I. Amatsu from the Army Headquarters here in Abuja. You're welcome, sir. We also have here in our midst this morning DCG Oyetunde. Sorry? Okay, Ayotunde Oredipe, retired. You're welcome, sir. You're welcome, sir. I think we will okay, we still have one here. Another retired Deputy Comptroller General John Saru-Webari is here in our midst. MNI, John Saru-Webari MNI. You're welcome, sir. At this juncture, I would like to invite for her welcome address the acting CGI, Caroline Wirola Adepeju, FSI PCC Daga. You're welcome, ma'am.
Distinguished ladies and gentlemen here present, former Comptroller Generals of Nigerian Immigration Service, retired DCJs, friends, members of the diplomatic corps, my colleagues here, and may I specially recognize members of the 20th basic course that are here. Thank you so much for the support that you have given us since this program started yesterday. Thank you. The turnout has been most impressive. I really thank you for the sacrifices that you have made. Despite your tight and busy schedules, you found time to be here with us. Without much ado, I will want to call the attention of our officers, the officers of Nigerian Immigration Service. I want you to be very attentive to this paper presentation. Those of us who are on this side of the divide, we are on our way out, but we are doing everything we can to leave a legacy of respect for good quality services. We want you to look at your work and know that professionalism, dedication to work pays. We want you to learn from the wealth of experience of our leaders that are no more with us, but who are still wells of knowledge from which you will drink and you will not forget. I want you to pay attention, and I want you to kindly move forward and fill the gaps, all these empty seats, so that we can have one house and we can be together while the paper presentation goes on. I will want you to be attentive. I will want you to ask questions so that you can benefit maximally from these programs. So I declare this open in the name of God, and I hope and pray that the deliberations will be fruitful. Thank you once again. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Acting CGI Wirola Adepeju, for that welcome remarks. Welcome address. Beg your pardon. We shall be going into the program of the day. And we have the first paper presentation by our former CGI, David Shikfu Paradigm, MNI, OFR, and this session shall be moderated by our former acting CGI RB Musa. After the paper presentation, we shall take 2 questions from retired DCGs. With the kind permission of the acting CGI, I would like to invite to the stage former Comptroller General of the Nigerian Immigration Service, David Shikfi Paradan.
You're welcome, sir. Thank you so much for the honor of being here. David Paradan, OFR, MNI, was the former CGIS of the Nigerian Immigration Service. He was appointed Comptroller General of Immigration Service by the President Goodluck Jonathan, Goodluck Jonathan in 2012. He served over 33 years with the Nigerian Immigration Service. Thank you so much, sir, for your excellence. He's experienced and he is professional with deep knowledge in Nigerian immigration law and practice, as well as the public sector protocol and administration. He has authored several academic papers on public administration, matters relating to issues of national security, manpower, and budget organization. He is a recipient of several awards in recognition of excellence and service to the Nigeria. Thank you so much, sir, for being here.
Thank you. I have a presentation. Can you run it? Can you start it? It's a presentation. No? I gave the presentation to you people. I gave the presentation to you. Are you going to project it?
Yes, it will be projected.
Okay. The Comptroller General, Acting Comptroller General, Nigeria Immigration Service, Mrs. Adepoju, a very distinguished officer that served in a very important institution that I hold in high esteem, the ICSC in Sokoto. This is one place that all of you should go to before you aspire to be anything in the Nigeria Immigration Service. Good morning and congratulations to you, madam, for organizing this very fitting occasion that has brought all of us here together. Some of us have not seen for a long while, and it's a great pleasure to see them, both seniors, colleagues, and those that came after us. It's a great pleasure. For me, particularly, I would like to start this process by the preambles and the, what you call, the protocols. This is a very important aspect of every presentation that I think we should look at it very closely. I want to recall my days at the National Institute of Policy and Strategic Studies. I have a director of studies. His name is Ambassador Owoaye, MNI. He said something about standing on protocols, but I adopted it a little bit. I would like to know whether any officer has seen Mr. or Mrs. Protocol here. If you have seen either Mr. or Mrs. Protocol, please kindly direct me so that I can stand on him or on her. I'm sure there is none here. So, having said so, Ambassador Owoaye said very categorically that as Africans, it is very important for us to greet our elders. You cannot come and start an occasion without greeting people. So it is important. Don't think it is a waste of time for you to acknowledge people. Having said so, I want to again repeat by thanking the CGI, greeting the CGI, my respected Oga Alhaji Arbi Musa that is here. I greet you, sir. Yesterday, the two of them, and I would like to greet my brother, His Excellency, or His Royal Highness, the Amba of Amba. He's here. Unfortunately, we have not seen Alhaji UK Umar here yet. I'm sure he's coming. Yesterday, they were busy intimidating us with their Rawanis. If you know Hausa, you know what Rawani is. It's that thing they tie on their heads as traditional rulers. They were intimidating us with it. But I am a prince, so I'm not afraid. You're welcome, sirs, and you have really added color and dignity to this occasion. I've seen let me acknowledge the man from the Nigeria military. We welcome you on behalf of the Chief of Defense Staff. We appreciate your being with us and the fact that you have made it. The family reunion continues. I've seen so many people here. I've seen Alhaji Kuso. He's wearing a very intimidating bird. And Alhaji Ene Ibrahim too is joining him in that kind of business. Joining him that kind of business. So you see them, you may not recognize that they were in uniforms. Oga Oklobia, I greet you, sir. And I wish some people are very, very diplomatic. They have decided to separate Mr. Oklobia and Mr. Oredikwe. Because I'm sure this lecture wouldn't have continued if they were sitting together. So thank you very much, protocol, for doing a good job. Mr. Oredikwe is here. The Excellence, this man, I don't know whether he's from Nigeria or from Republic of Benin. I know him very well, and he's wearing one kind of cap like that. Hundein, you are here. My one and only friend, Mr. Braska, Dr. Braska, double Dr. Braska. Madam, you started by saying you are appreciating members of the 20th basic course, which was, 20th. Well. At the 6th basic course, Braska was with me there too. I know some seniors are here, but I'm senior to many people, so just mind your business. I see Malgui here. I see madams, the two madams. Oyedeji, I worked with her in Kwara. I see Madam here. You are welcome. Thank you very much. All of you ACGs serving and retired, controllers serving and retired, it's a great pleasure to be before you. So you have seen that I have followed and respected the orders of Ambassador Owuaye, my distinguished Director of Studies at NIPS. I would like to appreciate the presence of our partners and our people from the Embassy of China here. We welcome you. You are really true partners with the Nigerian Immigration Service. You have never failed to honor us, and you are always with us. We really appreciate your presence and all your support for the Nigerian Immigration Service. All of you that are from various partners of the Nigerian Immigration Service, we welcome you. Ladies and gentlemen, it's a great pleasure for me to deliver this paper. I will be talking mostly to you that are officers on border patrol, internal security, and the fight against transborder crimes. I've done the preambles, so we'll just go straight forward. It's good for us to. No, can I go further? No, can I go back a little bit? The format of our presentation will basically be in about 7 segments. We'll be talking about. This is not on. We'll define the key terms that are here. We'll talk about the structure, the history, and character of Nigerian borders. We'll talk at current security threats that Nigeria is facing. We're going to talk about transborder crimes. We'll do an overview of the response of the Nigeria Immigration Service since we started 60 years ago about these threats. Then we'll have our observations and recommendations, then we'll do a conclusion. I don't intend to waste your time. We would like to make it fast, but I want you officers to listen very well. There's something the CGI said here that we find it very important to reinforce. For some of us that have left the service, We believe that maybe we threw the ball. We did not keep the ball. Sincerely, we did not hold the ball. Why do I say so? I see that have we really given a good legacy to the officers that are behind? Is it actually our fault? Or is it the fault of the officers themselves that they have not decided to be up and doing? There are very shining stars, but we need more numbers. We need to get more officers that we can say this is Nigeria Immigration Service with pride. Sincerely, we need more officers. I will not waste too much of your time about, we'll go to definition of key terms. Wow. Okay. So, border. That's the way you pronounce it, though, border. I don't know how the English people will pronounce it, but border. Well, for most of us in the service, some of you don't want to work at the borders. I don't know why. But that is the major work that an immigration officer should look forward to doing. This is the crux, this is the bedrock of our service. So borders for practical and functional purposes will be defined as an area across an international boundary. This is very different. I'm not going to very detailed definition of terms. This is very different from what we call local internal boundaries. When you are leaving Abuja to Nasarawa State, you reach Nyanya, you will see one bill up like that. They will say this is the boundary between the Federal Capital Territory and Nasarawa State. And as you go on forward, you go and see the boundary between Plateau State and Nasarawa State. There is no boundary between Plateau State and Bauchi State because Bauchi State is under Plateau State. Anybody who has objection should go to court. We will meet in court. So there are international and local boundaries, very clear. But boundaries for the purpose of this paper are well defined and precise geographical delineations that separate countries from each other. They are backed up by legal instruments. They are backed up by diplomatic notes. They are backed up by protocols and treaties that separate Nigeria, in this instance with Cameroon, Nigeria with Niger, Nigeria with Chad, Nigeria with Republic of Benin. There are precise boundaries. If they are not precise, then we don't have a border. So our job is to look at borders. So let's leave that there and we go to security. Most people think security is uniform, guns, military, force. But it's much more than that. And again, I will go to my boss at NIPS, Professor Mobige. I say this name, but I know there is somebody here who will say that name with more respect than me. Dr. Braska is his son, and he learned at his foot. Dr. Mobige said that, and I would like to read it. Security can be defined as freedom from danger, freedom from threats to the nation's ability to protect and develop itself, freedom to promote the cherished values of a country and its legitimate interests, as well as the well-being of its people. You'll find out that in this definition, quickly, it will just mean that, as McNamara would say, security means development. Can we go further? Can we? Yeah. He said, security is not all about military hardware. The soldier here, sorry sir, security is you and all, and others too, you know, we are part of it too. It's not all about military hardware, though it may include it. Security is not military force, though it may involve it. Security is not traditional military activity, though it may encompass it. Security is development, and without development, there cannot be security. I'm sure you will agree with this. I'm sure you will agree with this. Can I get this one off there? Or I should just leave it? So we'll go quickly to transborder crimes, which we know crimes are defined as illegal offensive activities or deviant behavior committed across national boundaries. Can somebody help me to move it, or I should move it myself? So we'll go on from there to define others like transborder crimes and which I'm sure when you have the paper, we'll continue from, you'll get it. Now, let's go quickly to the structure, the history and character of Nigerian borders. Here, I wish I could have a map of Nigeria showing the boundaries of Nigeria. But in the absence of that, Nigeria has very, 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 very expansive, extensive and intimidating land and maritime borders covering over 447,000 kilometers. Many countries will give their eyes to have the size of Nigeria. It's a great blessing to all of us. And this consists of about 773 kilometers with the Republic of Benin on the western part of the country, 1,690 kilometers with Cameroon, 87 kilometers with Chad Republic, and well over 1,400 kilometers with the Niger Republic. The maritime borders are well about 857 kilometers on the Atlantic and Gulf of Guinea. In terms of vegetation, the northern border is characterized by desert and very low savanna vegetation. At the western end of it, the top western part is mostly savanna vegetation. The southern western part is forest, mostly. At the eastern part of the country, we have mountainous regions and forests as you get into Calabar. You will see that I got this information from the Nigeria Immigration Border Management Strategy 2019 to 2023. Commendations to those of you that put that document together. I see some of you here. I commend you all. That is, but what of the history of the Nigerian border? History of Nigerian border. Borders in Nigeria, as presently constituted, owe their origin to the West African Berlin Conference of December 1884 to February 1885. We learned all that in secondary school, most of you, or when we were doing history. This was a very audacious and very pompous attempt by the Western powers, I'll say that with all sincerity, to sit down in Berlin and determine which country belongs to Britain, those countries that Britain will pick up, the French, the Portuguese, and the Spanish will take. And these borders are artificial. They are arbitrary. They did not take into cognizance at all existing ties and relationships that predate their coming to Africa. So you find out that somebody has been moved to the Republic of Benin and most of his friends or most of his family are in Nigeria. Hundein could be one of them. I want to say this I found this statement by the Alaketu of Ketu very, very instructive. He says, we regard the boundary as separating the British and the French, but not separating the Yoruba. This would be said to the man from the northern part of the country. They think they have separated us, but we don't recognize such borders. For the purpose of Nigeria and the soldier that is here, they want to defend the territorial integrity of Nigeria. At the same time, in the military, they know that if you don't have the complete cooperation of your neighbors, they will work against you. So borders are just not lines per se, but they take more than that. They involve culture, they involve family ties, they involve bloodlines along the line. So we find out that the history of borders is something that is quite European based. They did that in line with their own society. By that time, most of them had taken possession of their country and defined clearly that this is France, this is Spain, this is so and so. But for us, we had empires, and those empires ran across borders. You find out that these are issues that when you, as an officer of the Nigerian Immigration Service, work at the border, you should be conversant. There are no very, very defined. You have to use your own, I don't call that as number 6 really. I call that as practical knowledge to know that it would be very, very wrong if you see Mr. Hundein trying to cross the border to go and do a naming ceremony in Republic of Benin and you stop him. You have to find a way of adjusting these things to fit what it is. So we have seen what the borders are, and our topic said internal security, borders, internal security. So internal security, as we said, is security to do with Nigeria. And what are the basic challenges of internal security in Nigeria? Most of us here will pick. Now, if I say, okay, if I ask you in this hall, what are the basic security challenges that Nigeria is facing? Somebody from the northeast, like Mr. Malgui, would say that it's Boko Haram. Oga Kuso from Niger will say banditry. I see Oga Umar just walked in now. He's from Jigawa State. And Babandede, unfortunately, is not here. What he would say to you would be farmers and herders clashes. In the western part of the country, you can have smuggling, arms, small arms, light weapons, drugs, and things like that. So you see, the crimes are really going forward. Banditry, as we know, is so serious here that in the north particularly, Zamfara is in the eye of the storm. I don't know whether we have an officer from Zamfara here. Sokoto State, Kebbi, Niger, they are in the eyes of the storm. People cannot go to their farms. People cannot ply major highways very freely with every assurance of security. When we go to northeast, it's a long while I've seen people like Modu come to join us here. When he comes to Abuja and he cannot come by air, he will be afraid how he should go back because of Boko Haram and bandits. I'd like to dwell on farmer herders clashes. This is something that is very, 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 it has enormous security implications for our food security. And nobody here has, I know, CG, I don't know whether you eat imported food only, but I know the Yoruba people like pepper. And it's very likely this is threatened because the farmers from the northern part of the country are finding it difficult to do a whole year-round farming. And that obviously will decrease the amount of food available for us here. One particular case of this happened in Jigawa State. In a study I read between 1994 and 1995, these herders come in most often from the Republic of Niger, sorry. And they have been doing this for centuries. They believe it is part of their culture to leave Republic of Niger when it is dry season, mostly from October to May. To bring their cattle where they can find water, where they can find grass for them, what they call them, feeds for them. And they have been doing this for years. But on the other side in Nigeria, farmers use that rainy season too to grow their crops. And one significant thing is that not only during the dry season now, we have come to the point that government is vigorously encouraging dry season farming. And that exposes them to more likelihood of clashes with the herders. Most of them that come from Rijad, they are called Udawas. In 1994, there was a clash at Guri local government in Jigawa State. Oga Suleiman Umar, is that correct? I saw him somewhere. Guri local government. Thank you very much. In that particular clash, over 500 people were killed. And you have more happening even today. About 16 villages were destroyed. In that particular clash, and there have been many going on. We come to Nasarawa State, we come to Plateau State, we come to Niger. This is daily occurrence. But it's a transborder issue that we need to look at very clearly and find solutions to it, because it has immense implication for security. I've mentioned Boko Haram. I'll go quickly to smuggling. This smuggling that we know, some people see it as smuggling fuel, smuggling goods, contraband, and things like that. But the ones that have very significant security implication for us is the smuggling to do with arms and light weapons. That guarantees that we cannot sleep with our eyes closed. It's something we watch. Another significant one is smuggling of drugs and illicit drugs and things like that. This, I have an experience. If I say experience, Madam Adewi, I don't mean that I took drugs. So. I know you were my CIS held when you were there. But I campaigned during the political era as a politician. And sincerely, if you see what is happening in our communities, it is pitiable. The impact and effect of drugs on our youth is terrible. But how do they come in? Are they produced in Nigeria? Are they smuggled across borders? They are mostly smuggled across borders. This is something you should put up your minds on how to handle. I will not talk to you much about irregular migration, because that is what you signed to do. All of you signed to do that. And if you have not read about irregular migration, I'm sure your next promotion is at stake. The questions may come from it, and if you don't answer it, you are in trouble. But this is, I want to acknowledge the presence of my very senior ogas here. I have Alhaji UK Umar here with us. Sir, we welcome you. I have Oga Ude right here, my Oga. You are welcome. And I'd like to note that Oga UK Umar did not put his traditional rawani today. So I'm safe. Thank you very much for coming, sir. So what are the causes What are the causes of these internal security challenges? What are the causes? We have established that most of them have links with Nigeria, although there are Nigerian collaborators, but it's a transborder issue. We have a significant contribution to these security threats that come from our countries that are our neighbors. So what do we say are the causes of this? If I say that inept leadership and poor governance is a cause for transborder crimes, it applies in Nigeria, it applies in Republic of Benin, it applies in Niger, it applies in Cameroon. Do we have good leadership in Africa? If we do have good leadership in Africa, the rate of security threats will decrease significantly. I would like to know, and maybe for the purpose, I know Aminu Mohammed is here. Do we have figures for people, have figures for security threats in Rwanda, indigents of Rwanda? And what is the percentage? Can we take United Arab Emirates? What is the level of governance and leadership in those countries? I've taken one in Africa. And let's pull back a little bit to Libya when Muhammad Gaddafi was in power. I don't know at that time whether there were any irregular migrants living Libya. Do we have people from UAE becoming irregular migrants? I am the firm belief that most of what we see from Niger coming here, what we are calling the Japa syndrome in Nigeria, is as a result of poor leadership in Africa. Very poor leadership in Africa. And another cause for border insecurity, as I may say, is corruption. This is one word that I find really very funny. Most of us would like to just mention the word. It's a nebulous word that removes us from personal responsibility. We say corruption, then you look at politicians like me. You are not looking at yourself as corrupt. You are not looking at, check yourself, look in the mirror very well. Corruption, embezzlement of funds is one of the major reasons that causes insecurity. It would have provided for people to have good hospitals. It would have provided sound education for people. But you find out that these things are brought and are looted by few individuals. So, would those people be looking at you forever? It will come to a time that they have to act on it and go and challenge you or find any way of settling scores or trying or getting their share of the national cake. Corruption is a very serious thing that impedes on economic transformation and development. Youth unemployment. CG, may I ask you, I know you before you came in Babangida, DCG or acting DCG was here in HRM. Can you tell us how many people applied for immigration service? Just don't worry, don't worry, just leave it like that. I know it's massive. I would like anybody here who does not have a child, a relation, or somebody that is unemployed to put up his hand. Let me see. Did I see Ogakuso's hand? you have put down your hand. You have many of them. So unemployment is a serious effect in Nigeria and is further compounded by poor governance. These people, the young people, have not been able to get quality education. They have not been able to get practical education that will make them contribute to national growth. This further makes it difficult for them to participate and get decent jobs. And when they don't have jobs, an idle man is the devil's workshop, they say. You find out that gradually, I did not use any talk. Do you believe that? When I was campaigning, I did not use any talk. Mr. Zitas, did I use any talk? Thank you very much. You always blame politicians that they use talks. They do this, they do that, which is a result of unemployment. Most of them too are ready tools in the hands of very dubious persons. My time is going on now. I'm going to be there soon. Dubious persons that they use them for heinous things, for crimes, for riots. Today, we understand the National Labour Congress is organizing a protest. And God knows what that can become of in some areas. The young people might be used to do a lot of things that are not necessary. Another important factor that causes insecurity is climate change, the environmental factors. This is really something that maybe you don't notice it in Lagos, you don't notice it in Ogun State, Oga Ayo, you won't notice it there because you have rain all year round. But for some people to just get water to drink, just water to drink, some parts of the year, some seasons of the year, they don't have it. So they cannot engage in any meaningful farming to feed themselves. Desert encouragement is real. And this too has led to all those that we mentioned before, the herders crossing over into Nigeria. And we find that inside Nigeria too, some of the lands that were marked for herders have been encroached upon by people who want to use them as farms. So you can only expect that there will be a clash down the line. So we've been able to go through some of the main causes of some of the main threats to security that have transnational links. So what has the Nigerian Immigration Service been doing about this? What have we been doing about it? Quickly, I'd like to say that one of the major things that we have been doing and should do and should continue to do is border security. And for you here, I see Oga Ode here, seated here. He told me at one time when I was his special assistant, that he said, Mr. Paradang, have you read the Justice Aniaogolu Commission report? He said, I will give it to you. I read it. When I read it, the conclusion I said is that any CG at all that sits on these decks of a CG, you have your job cut out for you. You don't have to be saying, I'm going to be the first to do this. You have your job cut out for you. That is the major job that is cut out for you. At this commission in December, that time, in December, I think, that's 1980. Sorry, sir. Ogayuke is from Kano. There were Metasine riots in Kano. 1980. 82, they went to Katsina. From Katsina, Kaduna. From Kaduna to Yola. Maiduguri, all over. At the end of the day, I'll quote this from Akitenrewa of the National Institute of International Affairs. He said, and we get this from his book on the Justice Aniaogolu Commission report, 417 persons were killed. 4,177 persons were killed. about 1,113 SEC members were arrested. Of those arrested, foreigners from Niger, Chad, Cameroon, Mali, and Burkina Faso were among those arrested. And they said they got their call to participate in that riot from their leader, Muhammadu Marwa, who is from Republic of Cameroon. So you find out that it's a trans-border issue. The Nigerian Immigration Service has, and it's from that moment that the Border Surveillance and Patrol Unit of the Nigerian Immigration Service was created. If you don't know the origin of that, know that that is the origin of Border Patrol in the Nigerian Immigration Service. Fast forward to 2015, the Immigration Act specifies in Section 2, I think, that the border control should be one of the major functions of the Nigerian Immigration Service. Now, I'd like to commend all of you that are in service that we have not dropped the ball. Over the years, we have seen that a lot has been done. If I go back again to the weather management strategy, it said we have now, I have one picture, very funny picture here. I don't know whether it's here. Priest. I don't know whether any of you people are here. Oga Jones, are you here? Mrs. David Jones? 1978. You are there, sir? These are the officers of Nigerian Immigration Service in 1978. And somebody was saying it's of the 12th or 20th basic course. When they ask you to take a picture, you will not enter one picture. It will be too much for you. But these officers at that time, the service has grown tremendously. Yesterday we were talking here. Somebody was asking, what is Ogayuke's NIS number? He said it's about 700. NIS 700, thereabout, or less. And I know there are some people here who are 30-something thousand, something and something. Our service has grown after being removed from the police from very few officers to well over, I have the correct figure here, well over 25,775 officers and men. We have been trying to address the issues of that by taking care of staff. We have had free operating bases. We have had the increasing the number of official patrol border control posts from less than 12 to now 84 official approved border control posts. We have border patrol bases all over the place. We have when you get the main letter, you will see that there are many patrol. There are many FOBs, many marine patrol areas and co. In different areas, more are being built. More of the FOBs are being built. So we have seen what Nigeria Immigration Service has been doing to address border security. But is this enough? I remember very clearly that way back when I was CG then, we asked the federal government to approve for us a specialized corps for border training. For border corps, we call it border corps. And I'd like to stand here and commend those officers. There are some of them that were really enthusiastic about working at the borders. And they saw it as what they should do and what they are happy to do. I want to, if they are not even here, when you go back to your commands, commend them for me. Because these officers took responsibility. They wanted to go out there and serve Nigeria. And while they were there, many people were. During the elections in about 2014, 2015, they arrested many people bringing in arms. They arrested so many things like that. And you find out that this is the way to go. We should not allow that to die. Having said all this, what then should we recommend? We have to enhance the capacity, the numbers, I remember very clearly when we went to see Mrs. Okonjo-Iweala, who was the Minister of Finance at that time. We said, Madam, for us to meaningfully contribute to national security and border patrol, we need to have minimum of 5,000 officers recruited every year. And you know that woman is a very serious-minded economist. She said, we cannot fund that, CG. We cannot fund that. This, your 2,000 and so people, this recruitment that brought problem, this your 2,000 people, we cannot even, you have to take 1,400 now. Next year you take 500. Next year you take, but this is just too piecemeal. It cannot. CG, I ask that I pray that there will be way for you to be able to get more officers. And when you do get more officers, anybody that's not willing to work at the border, please bring back your letter of appointment. We need people at the borders. We have been asking yearly that we need staff, more boots on ground. But if you are here and you just want to work at the passport office, you want foreign posting, then there's a problem somewhere. We are leaving the main work to do. You, the guys that have children too, I call on you that all your children, allow them to serve Nigeria. You went for NYC in places that you did not know. Why won't you send your child now to go and work at Ilela? So let's look at that. And practically too, we have our borders have no buffer zones. There is virtually no delineation between our borders. You will find out some houses have their doors in Nigeria, their windows in Republic of Niger. We've seen that, and it's really, but we need buffer zones. This will help the border officers to know. If you have crossed the buffer zone, then we know that this is not a usual crossing. We need buffer zones. I want the Nigerian Immigration Service to work with the Nigerian Boundary Commission for this. If there have been no funding for that, we should make provision for funding for that. No doubt, the one thing that every CG does every year, I see my colleague and friend Braska, they will write budget, special intervention fund. We need money for this, we need money for that. Every year we write this. Out of 100, you can get only maybe 2%. Funding is inadequate for us to do our work. We need government to support us. I am very impressed. I see somebody nodding his head here. I want to mention your name. From the Chinese embassy, you are nodding your head. We are really, really, really in need of support. We are in need of support, really, because we don't have equipment. We don't have boats. We don't have all-terrain vehicles. We don't have radars. We don't have whatever you call them for security. We need them. Then another important, often overlooked issue is sensitization. Education is really very important. We have to sensitize people at the borders. We have to, as forums like this present themselves, we educate ourselves that borders are very tricky areas that we need full information on. We need to have regular meetings with our neighbors. You will say that, okay, maybe they bring me from Plateau State to be in the western border. Then I'll just come and be doing, I'll be doing that. But this man will say, look, Mr. Paradang, this man that is wearing uniform, if you ask him, his grandmother is from across the border. So what are you going to do? So let's educate people that borders are not meant to separate us, but they are meant to make it better for all of us to be secured. If we agree that smuggling is bad, it's bad for Nigeria, it's bad for the Republic of Benin. If we agree that arms, small arms and light weapons are negative to us, it is negative to us and to the Republic of Benin. So we need to educate ourselves on this. Quickly, before I run up, one of the most important things that we need to do is to work with our colleagues in the military, work with the customs in joint border operations. And we need also to have a policy specifically defining what are the areas that the military are supposed to operate on. The police, should they go about opening booths and checking for fuel in the booths of people or for rice in the booths of people? We must have clearly defined limits of what we do. What are our operations? We have to have them and do it. But among all, and the oga kwata of them all, is welfare for border officers. Really, when you go to the borders, they have no water to drink. They don't have houses to live in. They live in makeshift houses. No hospitals. They don't have allowances. They don't have rain gear. They don't have all-weather gear. So we need the security and welfare of our border officers is very, very primary. We need more to be done about the welfare of border personnel. It brings me, before I conclude, to this saying, it's been written all over the place that in one of the dynasties in China, most of us have gone to China, we have seen the China Wall, the Great China Wall. From the air everywhere, it's massive, it's intimidating, that it was built against marauders so that they will not enter China and attack that empire that was on there. But the funny thing was that they were able to, the marauders and enemies were able to walk into China from the main gate. From the main gate, that's they entered freely and went and captured the emperor. How? Because they bribed the border officials. Why did the border officials agree to be bribed? They were poorly paid. There was no welfare for them. So you see that welfare is very important. And security, finally, is not a moi. Although moi is getting expensive now, it's not cheap product. But government should be prepared to spend money on security in this country. We should spend money. And I will say finally that it is very evident that internal security is as vital to political stability, socio-economic development, as blood is and as air is to human health. Thank you very much for hearing me. Am I going to stand here and answer questions, or you want me to take a glass of water before I come back?
Sir. Yes, sir, you can just...
Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir. Sir, this way. This way, sir. Yes, sir. Thank you very much, sir. I think we can do better than that. We can. David Shikfu Paradan, OFR MNI, was Comptroller General of NIS between 2013 and 2015. We thank you for honoring us, and we do not take your presence here for granted. Thank you very much, sir. Today we have about five former Comptrollers General here in our midst. We have several Deputy Comptrollers General, retired former Comptrollers General here in our midst, and several Deputy Comptrollers General retired here in our midst. We want to thank you very much for being here. We'll still be recognizing some of us that came after the introduction of guests. But before we go ahead, I want to say, some time ago, a young man in my village was opportune to travel to China for a workshop, just 1 week workshop. When he returned to my village, he gathered the villagers and said he wanted to teach them Chinese. So they gathered and he said, chum chum chum, chum chum chum. They said, we don't understand. He said, it means today, not today. So he said, anytime I say chum 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 chum, just answer today, not today. So please, seeing the caliber of people we have in our midst today and the caliber of presenters here today, I want us to assume we are my village people gathered here today. And I want to say chum 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 chum. You answer chum 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 chum. Yes, today, not today. Before we invite the moderator of this session, we'll be introducing some of our dignitaries that are seated here in our midst.
At this point in time, we'd like to acknowledge the presence of the former Comptroller General of Immigrations in person of UK Umar. Let's put our hands together for him. Also in our midst, we have Senator UK Umar. I beg your pardon, sir. Senator UK Umar. Also in our midst, we'd like to acknowledge the presence of the former Comptroller General, Chukwura C. Ude. Let's put our hands together for him. Thank you so much, sir. Thank you. We'd like to put our hands together as we recognize the presence of retired DCG Sheuri. Thank you so much, sir. Thank you. And also in our midst, we'd also like to acknowledge the presence of retired DCG Suleiman Umar MNI. Thank you very much, sir. Thank you. Thank you. Retired DCG T.A. Undeyi. You're welcome, sir. Thank you. Retired DCG H.Y. Malgui. And also retired DCG Dr. E.B.U. Ifeadi. Let's put our hands together for him. We also have in our midst the retired DCG Mrs. Funke David Jones. Thank you so much, ma'am. Thank you. Retired Comptroller Zakari Babali. Thank you so much for coming, sir. Thank you. Retired Comptroller Oko E.E. Let's put our hands together for him. We'd also like to acknowledge the MOA President, Barrister Salamatu Auna. Thank you so much. Thank you. Also in our midst, retired DCI OK Agbaku. Thank you for coming. Thank you for taking our time to celebrate Nigerian Immigration Service for her Diamond Jubilee. Thank you. And at this point in time, I would like to make welcome my colleague. Thank you.
Thank you. As we continue to chat forward our way, I have the privilege to invite the moderator for this session. Before I do that, we all know that the economy of the nation is undergoing engineering, or should I say re-engineering. Subsidy removal has brought a lot to this day. And it reminds me of what happened in one nation, I won't mention the name of the country, and not in Africa, when they had the same situation. And the government of the day decided to give each member of the household $2 million as palliatives, as we are all asking for palliatives here. So if you have a father, mother, and 3 children, that will be $10 million. Father, $2 million, mother, $2 million, the children, $2 million each. That's $10 million. So after the news, one man called the wife, said, "My wife, I know you have been very loyal, but I have a conversion. We just had the news that the government will be giving out 2 million naira each to members of household. I want to tell you that I have 4 children outside. I have been responsible for their maintenance and upkeep. Would you please agree that I bring them in? That will be 8 million naira. To be added to this, it will all be $18 million rather." After back and forth, the wife agreed. So the man went outside. He came back. The wife saw him and said, "You are welcome, my husband. You are only back with 1 child. Where are the remaining 3? He said, "Don't mind those women. They said I'm not their father, that I'm not responsible for them. So I was only able to bring in 1. Don't let us mind that at least we have additional $2 million. He now asked the wife, "Can you call the other 4 children? Let me introduce the new child of the family." And the mother said, "You are not the only one that heard the news. Their fathers too heard the news, and they came for them." Thank you very much. Like I said, we are going to entertain maximum of 4 questions to get feedback for this very presentation. And to do that, it's my privilege and I have the singular honor to invite, as the moderator for this session, Acting Controller General of Immigration retired, Rabiu Balamusa MNI. Please shall we put our hands together for him as he approaches the platform. Another round of applause. Make sure you continue to clap for him till he takes the mic here. Today is a reunion session as well. Thank you, sir.
In the first place, let me lodge my complaint. Nobody told me I'm going to be moderating this paper, except this morning when I was already seated. And I think we should try to do things in the correct way. Thank you. My senior colleagues, Alhaji UK Umar, CJ Ude, and distinguished invited guest. Okay. Thank you. I've been permitted to sit down. It's wonderful when you come to talk about border security, internal security, crimes, and other things. In all honesty, the major job of immigration is the border patrol, the internal security of this great country. Gentlemen, you will all agree with me that the economy of this country, the development of this country, everything of this country is bordered on the border patrol and the security of this nation. Without it, there is no economy. Without it, there will be no development. Without, there is nothing. So I want to thank David Paradan for a good job done this morning. Thank you very much. He said something which is very, very important. Nigerian Immigration Service cannot do anything without money. You cannot control the border without money, without fund. I'll tell you my experience when I was acting CG. I went to Yobe. I was taken to one of the borders. You will not believe it. There was nothing, absolutely nothing. The officers were living outside, not even a shade. When somebody fell sick, they will have to put him on donkey to bring him to where he can get assistance. Under this condition, tell me, how do you secure the border? How do you patrol the border? You don't believe it. When I came back, I went to the then NSA with video and everything to show him how the border was. And I pleaded that we should be assisted with motorcycles so that we'll be giving it to the officers so that they will manage it for the time being. Unfortunately, because the government doesn't give attention or importance to those things, nothing was given to us. So I want to say, if really we want to manage the border and the activities within the country, we really have to wake up. The government must wake up to its responsibility. Because without that, there is nothing we can do. Again, David spoke about, the migration. Gentlemen, Nigeria is a wealthy country, taking into consideration the surrounding countries. Therefore, everybody would like to come into this country for a greener pasture. Of course, some are not coming because of to live in peace. Some are coming to bring problems. What is happening in Katsina today, in Zamfara today, in the northeast area today, is nothing but what? They are coming to look for what to eat. At the end of the day, not even what to eat. They are coming to make money. And as long as that continues, we will continue finding ourselves in so many difficulties and challenges. So I want to advise the CG To be honest and sincere, you have a great work before you. You have to wake up, you have to get up. All this, you cannot do it without money, without fund. You need fund to do these things. And let me give you a hint. Don't rely on government alone. Go to Central Bank. Go and meet the governor of Central Bank. I remember when we were there, he gave us good assistance. He gave us money to buy about 30 patrol vehicles. You need them. It is through this that maybe you overcome the problem of border patrol. But border patrol is everybody's business. So we have to know whether you are in the service or you are outside the service. So all hands must be on deck so that we'll fight the crime of the border patrol. Without taking much of your time, I want to thank you very much for this little contribution. If there is any question, please, to the presenter, please, you can do that now.
Okay, we have.
The acting CGI, all my senior CGIs here present, my colleagues, DCG, DCGI, ACGs, and the rest. I want to thank Mr. Paradan for the beautiful paper he presented. I remember when I was an Assistant Controller General, I was mandated by the service to open the first air border patrol. And in Mr. Paradan's papers, he talked about the land borders, he talks about the marines, he never mentioned anything about air border. And air border today, the way I see it, we have international airports. We have Lagos, Kano, Abuja itself. And I think presently we issue a travel document called Visa on Arrival. I don't know, when you talk about border security, you did not include air border. That is my question. Thank you.
My name is Ali Abdullahi, Deputy Controller of Immigration, retired. Deputy Controller General. Not Controller now. My senior colleagues here present, my colleagues are acting CGI. We are talking border security. I want to know how far you've gone from where we stop as far as border surveillance is concerned. I know we are supposed, the era of digital is what is on now. How far have you digitalized border surveillance after our little effort of the gadgets we provided with the little aircraft we maintain for the border surveillance? I'm just curious. I retired 13 years ago. I don't know what is happening now. Secondly, from border, we have also internal security. I hope I'm not digressing. How far have you gone with even the hotel management, which is supposed to be linked with hotels linked to our central server, whereby immigrants can be monitored 24 hours, 7 days a week? Thank you.
Thank you very much. My name is Senator UK Umar. I just add something, kind of rider to the issue of border patrol, but specifically the issue of air border patrol. What happened to our aircrafts? What efforts are we making to get this aircraft and the border patrol section of the air, to be developed? Thank you very much.
My name is Ude Chukura Joseph. Thank you. There are two areas I really want the present CG to focus on in order to enable us secure our borders. One is funding. I don't care how much you get. Nobody is going to give you all the money you want. So I will suggest we're a revenue generating organization. We generate a lot of money for government. Throw it into the central purse, everybody takes it. I will suggest you make a case to government and ask and tell them you need a percentage of that amount to generate to enable you to develop your borders. I think that will go a long way in helping you out of this mess. Because as we speak, it's like we're in a house without shelter, without windows and doors. And they're asking us to secure it. How? So that is the first, that is one of the contributions. And secondly, America, with all her development and digitalization, is still insisting on physical structures for the protection of their borders. We need to secure our borders physically in some form. Because like one of the speakers alluded to, Nigeria is just the honeypot of the sub-region. Everybody wants to come here from the sub-region. And nobody respects the protocols on free movement of persons. None of them do. We are the ones hurt the most. So we must make efforts to secure ourselves, secure our economy. Otherwise, everybody will just jump in and be doing whatever they like, which is what is even happening now. And my third contribution is, please make a case to government. Like Arabi Musa observed, most of our border towns are just, I don't know. Our officers and men benefit from the other side of the border. They send their children to school in the neighboring countries. We don't have those facilities. We don't have schools in most of our border towns. So you will impress it on government. The Border Development Agency should take responsibility in improving the facilities in our border towns. Basically, most of the communication companies in our border towns are all French owned. They are not, you don't find MTN there. Then when I was in government, when I was CG, I went to most of them. You don't find MTN, you don't find Glo, you don't have nothing. So most times you find out that loyalty is to the other side. So we'll try and make sure that we impress it on government that they should address that aspect of our challenge. Thank you very much.